Hi, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. We're excited to have you all join us for this, and congratulations to you on your acceptance to Providence College. If anybody here in this webinar is already enrolled, congratulations on your enrollment. Go Friars. We look forward to having you as a part of our community and welcoming you to Friartown. But for those of you who are maybe still on the fence about that decision, we hope that this webinar is helpful for you. It gives you a little bit more information about something that is fundamental to Providence College, something that's foundational to who we are, which is service. And so my name is Mike Splan. I am a senior admission counselor at Providence. You are not going to hear a lot from me. I'm just kind of here to sit in and moderate and field any questions that anyone has. But I am here. I'm joined by a wonderful group of people here on this Zoom. And, I really just want to start out by re-emphasizing, I guess, what I already said, which is that Providence cares deeply about service, cares deeply about the community. Uh, when we are reading applications from the admission office, something that we do look for in our students, aside from just academic progress and academic performance and extracurricular activities like athletics and clubs and organizations and part-time jobs, all those things are great. But something that we do look for and really look for in particular is service, is experience that you have serving your community, giving back to others. It speaks to the type of students who come to Providence and really enjoy it here, and it speaks to the kind of students who we look for in our community. And so all of you, I'm sure, have done service throughout high school, and so we want to talk to you a little bit tonight about the service opportunities that you'll have at Providence. And so that's what we're here for tonight. I want to first introduce, we have a couple staff members with us and a couple students with us. And so first I want to introduce Pam Tremblay from the Office of Mission and Ministry and Alyssa Johnson from Student Engagement and Leadership. And they're both going to be able to talk to you a little bit about, from the staff perspective, the opportunities that we give our students and the ways that we empower our students to take part in community service projects, both locally and beyond. So I'll turn it over to maybe Pam first, if you want to jump in and we'll get started.
Yeah, congrats again and welcome to the Fryer family. We're hoping that you join us in the fall and look forward to it. Um, I work in the Mission and Ministry office now as the director of Beloved Community Initiatives. So I work on things of how do we as a community come together on campus and off? How is it that we're living with dignity and care? But prior to this position, I worked as a director of service and justice in campus ministry. So the bread and butter of weekly service, service immersion trips, summer service was what brought me to Providence College to work there because of its commitment to working with the community, both near and far. So I want to highlight for you just three programs that really stole my heart when I started working at Providence College. But the list of ways in which you can do service is a long one. So if there's something in particular that you want to ask about, if we have, or ways to get involved, please feel free to go to the Q&A section and add that question in, and myself or anyone else can make sure to answer that for you. So some of the programs that we have that I'm fascinated by, one is called the Smith Fellows Program. It's a fellowship that is 6 weeks long, fully paid to do service or scholarship anywhere in the world with Dominicans. And so to be fully funded anywhere in the world, this year we have 3 students who are going to the Solomon Islands, which is a small set of islands off of Australia. The bishop of those islands is actually a Providence College alum and grad, and he welcomes students to come and do service every year. We usually have a small group every year, and we fully fund that. So they get flown there, their stay there, their food there, everything is covered. And it has an opportunity to see the global impact of the Dominican charism of Providence College. Who we are is both local but also global. And we want Providence College students to have that experience. And so the Smith Fellows is an incredible program that I haven't seen at many other colleges, and I think is incredibly intriguing and exciting. But The global isn't the only great thing about service. We also have it very local. So one of the programs we have every single day, there's a service opportunity on campus. There's even an app that you can download to know what the options are, whatever you're passionate about. One for me is Special Olympics. I had not gotten involved in Special Olympics until I started working at Providence College, and I have fallen in love with the organization since because of the student leaders. The students that I worked with that ran the program were so passionate and so in love with what they were doing that it really made me fall in love with it as well. So we have 3 tournaments every year, 2 basketball and 1 swimming. And we have over 300 Olympians, Special Olympians come to compete in both of the basketball tournaments and smaller around 50 to 70 for the swimming. And the school shows up. We have student government there. We have athletics there. We have students from all different orgs. Students who are not part of any student club are showing up to help run that day. And the joy, the excitement, the love, the care, the Friar fans that are both our students, but also the Special Olympians and how excited they are is just like one of the most fun days you can experience in Friartown. So please, if you end up on campus, do Special Olympics. It's so worth it. And it's one day out of the entire semester. The last thing that I want to say is that it can be overwhelming knowing how many service opportunities we have. I mean, whether it's off campus to do soup kitchens, whether it's on campus to do adult literacy, you can do reading to school children, you can do clothing drives and blanket drives, like anything you can think of, we really have the opportunity. But we have 2 programs that start the year. So as you come in as first-year students, Urban Action and FaithWorks are 2 opportunities to get introduced to all the service that Providence College offers. FaithWorks is a smaller organization, a smaller program run out of campus ministry that does more individual service, so more what we call ministry of presence. And Urban Action is a larger group that does more larger eco-friendly cleanups and school work. But I'll pass it off actually to Alyssa, who runs the Urban Action program. She can share a little bit more of her work and student orgs. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to add it to the Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Pam. So my name is Alyssa Jo Johnson. I am the Associate Director of Student Engagement and Leadership. Our office does everything from pre-orientation to senior week at the end of your experience. So we'll see you the whole way through. We have over 130 clubs and orgs on campus at this point, and over 15 of them are specifically service-based. So if you have a type of service that you really enjoy doing, it's super easy to get started, and there's a lot of students who are interested in doing it with you. I will say the best way to start is Urban Action because that's the program that I work with, and those kids are great. All of the students for Urban Action apply even before they step foot on campus sometimes. And then once they get here during the summer or they just want to come in to meet other people, it's a great way to get connections, learn more about Providence, and do some large scale service. So in the past and this upcoming year, we do a stream cleanup, we do trash pickups over in our Smith Hill area, we do some classrooms and putting those together with local teachers to get them ready for the school year. And then even after that, most of our Urban Action students get involved in things like Make a Wish and raise money to help kids make wishes come true across the United States. They also join Best Buddies. We have a number of them that are involved in other organizations, but I'm going to highlight some of those student organizations, even if our Urban Action students aren't involved in those, because they're doing service year round. So I'll start with Best Buddies. Here at Providence College, we have a really active Best Buddies chapter, and they also host the state of Rhode Island's Best Buddies Walk. We're actually having that this upcoming Sunday. Last year, we had around 400 people attend with over 100 buddies, and our student group that focuses on Best Buddies, their board was the highest fundraising group in the state of Rhode Island, and they got an award for that. So it's definitely really easy to get involved. They also do monthly programming with our students. So they offer, usually on Sundays for a couple of hours, we'll have 30 to 40 buddies come, and then we have 60 to 70 students come out and spend time with the buddies. They get to put on the programming, they get to see what the buddies want to do and what they would want to do to hang out. So it's been really anything they want to make it. And that group's been really strong for a few years now as well. The second group that I really want to highlight is Colleges Against Cancer. They run our yearly Relay for Life program. So they spend a lot of the year planning, getting ready, and doing that. This year's group actually raised over $16,000 for the American Cancer Society. They did a phenomenal job. They did a culminating ceremony of Relay for Life. They had a survivor's walk. They put a lot of work and effort into the program, and you could tell they did a really incredible job. But these students are passionate year round, so it's not only raising money for Relay, they also made Angels of Hope ornaments and hung them around campus for Christmas. And they did a number of other smaller fundraisers to just keep making sure that they're fighting the battle against cancer. So that group's also really incredible. But like I said, we've got over 15 groups that are dedicated to service. So I'd say check out our website if you want some more information on any specific things. And if you don't see a group that's doing what you want to do, we make new ones all the time. We actually just started a student organ donation association. So they work with the community to help people get registered to be organ donors and to share the gift of life with others. And that was something that we hadn't seen before, right? So there's always an opportunity to get involved in service and do more at Providence College. And I think I'll just pass it over to one of the students then, so y'all can talk about your experience here and what you're doing.
I'll go first. Hey everyone, my name is Charlotte Kavanaugh. I'm a sophomore bio major with a minor in Spanish from Holyoke, Mass. And in high school, I was always someone who loved to do service. I went on 2 service trips to Central America, each week long, and I knew I wanted to continue that idea going into college. And so I'm part of multiple organizations that do community service in some shape or another on campus. I do something called Friar Serve, which is like the overarching community service program here at Providence College. And I actually lead an after-school art club at the local elementary school. So it's a group of give or take 20-ish kids, kindergarten through 3rd grade, and I organize activities with me. And then there's 3 other sophomores that also help out. Another thing that I'm a part of is Operation Smile. And that, I don't know if everyone knows about it, but basically they help raise money for people who are looking for oral surgery. They help raise funds, and we make care packages for children or really anyone who's in the hospital recovering from an oral surgery, specifically cleft palates. I'm also part of admissions ambassadors, and that's this. I get to talk to all you lovely students about how much I love Providence College. That's probably my favorite one. Another thing that was already mentioned is Colleges Against Cancer. So I am a part of that club. I was on a team for Relay for Life. I was there. It was a great time, a super fun, awesome experience. I got to hang out with my friends, and we were doing something awesome for the community, so it was a win-win. Um, I've also been involved in Special Olympics. I volunteered at the basketball games. I got to do the book. I might not have been the best at it, but that's okay. It's the effort. I was also an orientation leader this past fall, and I loved every second of it. It was really nice to connect with incoming students and really help them adjust to this new environment. And then lastly, one that's not typically like leadership based is a pre-health honor society, Alpha Epsilon Delta, and they organize the blood drives on campus. So every 8 weeks on campus, we work with the Rhode Island Blood Center, and they will come either in like a bus blood mobile, which is kind of cool, or they'll set up in one of our in a large room, and all the students can come and donate blood, faculty, community members, really anyone, and it's an awesome time. Lots of blood is donated, which is only benefiting everyone. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Hi, my name's Emma. I'm also a sophomore. I'm from Wyckoff, New Jersey, and I'm a social work major with a public and community service studies minor and a business innovation minor, which is quite a mouthful, but something I'm really passionate about is getting involved not only on campus, but also off campus, which I feel like I've really been able to do through PC's multiple organizations. So I also did Friar Serve last year with Charlotte. We ran the art club together at St. Pius Elementary School right off campus. This year I wasn't able to do art club because of my schedule, but I've been tutoring a 1st grader at St. Pius Elementary once a week. So it's been really great just to like connect with the students off campus. Something else I'm involved in this year is community work study through the Feinstein Institute for Public Service, which is where the Feinstein Institute will partner you with a local organization and you can work off campus. So you'll be working at that site, but getting paid for work study through PC. So last semester, I got to work with Young Voices, which is located in downtown Providence. They're a youth advocacy program and they have a really great after school program, which I was able to be involved in. And this semester, I'm working at the Wanskuck Library, which is like 10 minutes off campus. I'm a homework helper. I get to help out with their after school program. And it's really great to just be involved with the local community and really get to connect and get to know the community off campus. Like Charlotte said, I'm also an admissions ambassadors. I'm going to be an orientation leader this upcoming summer and fall. So I'm super excited about that. And I've also had the opportunity to go to a couple Best Buddies events, which is really fun to just like hang out with the buddies for an afternoon. One of my favorite ones that I went to was like a Friar basketball themed one. So we did like some basketball trivia, some bingo, just lots of fun activities. So I feel like it's really been great to be involved on campus, off campus, and just get involved through service.
Awesome. Well, thank you, all of you, for introducing yourselves and doing such a great job of kind of giving us an overview of the service opportunities that are available here at Providence. I just want to reemphasize, if anybody has any specific questions or would like to hear about opportunities for maybe specific types of service, I know like Charlotte and Emma, for example, are very involved, it seems, with the local, children and local youth community. But maybe, someone out there has a more particular specific interest in a population of people to serve or something specific. So if you have questions about that, please feel free to throw those in the Q&A. But just to start off, I wanted to maybe ask Pam, maybe ask you if you could jump in and maybe tell us the way in which Providence's commitment to service aligns with our mission. Obviously you're somebody who is in our Office of Mission and Ministry now. And so being that we are a Catholic school and run by the Dominican Friars, how is service integral to our mission?
Yeah. So I think two parts. One, we always say our mission is our motto to seek truth. And truth we know is a person who is Jesus, and that is through encounter. And throughout our Catholic tradition, over and over, we know in the gospel, in scripture, and tradition, that encountering Christ happens in the poor, encountering the poor and serving with the poor. And it's more so about encountering Christ to learn something about yourself through service, learning something deeper about who you are. And that's important at Providence College, is asking those big questions. Who am I? What am I called to do? How am I impacting the world? How am I changing it? So I think those two is, one is that encounter with truth, and two, that understanding of who you are. Is the short answer of that. You can take long classes on what is our understanding of who we are. But I also think it's who we are as Dominicans. There's 4 pillars to our Dominican identity, one of them being service. And so we think service and community. We think of the stories that we hear. One of my favorite of St. Dominic is that he sold all his books and belongings so that he could give money to the poor. And so we know St. Dominic is committed to study and prayer and preaching, but also to the poor. And the way he was preaching was to those who didn't have access to other ways of hearing the gospel and hearing the truth. And so the commitment is deep in who we are. And you see that because it's embedded all over campus. So you're hearing like myself and campus ministry speak. You heard about the Feinstein Institute. You heard about Friar Serve, which is through public relations. You heard about our student activities doing it. We have majors like social work and PSP that Emma spoke about. So the ability to enter into the service is embedded throughout the college in every corner that you encounter.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pam. We did have a question come in from one of the students who is on this webinar. And the question is basically, how do students get to the locations where they're doing service? This is a great question. For those of you joining us, you may have asked this question before, and you might know this, that freshmen typically don't have cars on campus. Sophomores oftentimes don't have cars on campus either. So whoever would like to maybe jump in here, how do students access the service sites?
I can jump in. So I feel like Providence, first of all, is a very walkable city. So like when I do service at St. Pius, I can walk there. It's right off campus. But also you can take the RIPTA using your PC ID. You just swipe your ID. You have access to pretty much anywhere in the city. So if you ever need to take the RIPTA to your site, you can do that. Or Providence will provide transportation for you through your site. So with the Feinstein Institute, I've always had Feinstein drivers to my site. I had drivers last semester, this semester. So there's always a student driver to get you to your site.
So a lot of our student orgs are run by student leaders, and through the student groups, they can reserve vans. So Feinstein, if you work through them, they'll organize it for you, or Friar Serve. But if it's Best Buddies that wants to go and do, go and do an activity, or if it is, we have something called Mary's House that we go and do food services to, or St. Edward's, that's set up where we have a van and someone who drives for that. Now, if you like driving, we're always looking for drivers. So please let your service orgs know. And that would be a great help to get others access and ability to go as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I think one other question that is probably on the minds of some, we've listed a number of different service organizations here tonight. But for an incoming freshman, I think one of the biggest questions in general is just how do you get involved in things and how do you find out about things? And for each of you, Charlotte and Emma, you have seemed to found organizations that align with your values and what you want to do. But how for an incoming freshman are they going to be able to find out about these things?
Yeah, absolutely. I can start with that one. And if either of the students want to bounce off that, you're welcome to. When we start you with orientation or even pre-orientation through Urban Action, we connect you with a lot of those things. Let's say orientation specifically, we have an involvement fair that's part of your orientation process. So normally, I think around like 98% of the freshman class makes their way through there, and all of our club and org leaders from all of our 130 plus clubs and orgs on campus are present. So you can walk through, talk to them, see what you like, see what options there are, sign up for things. We always encourage everybody to sign up for everything you might be interested in and then narrow it down later, because they'll send you emails, they'll invite you to their meetings, but you'll have to figure out what organizations work best for you. And that's always a really great way to start. I would also encourage you to go to that orientation programming on campus, because then you're making connections not only with other students, but orientation leaders who are involved in these things, pre-orientation leaders that are still around to help. Even during move-in, you'll see other student leaders involved in a lot of these clubs helping people move in. You can be like, well, what are you involved in, to hear more about what their experiences is as well. So now I can pass it over to Emma or Charlotte if you all have some other tips that you want for people to get involved.
Yeah, so obviously I was an orientation leader, so a lot of it is like word of mouth, just like talking to your friends, like, hey, I had a great experience doing this. Why don't you come with me next time? Give it a try. And with a lot of these service-based groups, it's not like this super long-term commitment. So if you go once or twice and you're like, this doesn't really work with my schedule, or this isn't really fitting the way I want it to in my life, you can change it. There is nothing locking you down to it. Um, and then there's some organizations that are kind of focused more towards your major. Like for me, I'm pre-dental, so Operation Smile kind of falls into that pathway for me, which is really nice. And other things are just interests for me. And missions ambassadors is literally just something I like to do. And Friar Serve, leading the art club with children, I love interacting with kids. And obviously, you don't do that a lot on a college campus, but through Friar Serve, I'm able to do that, which is super nice. It's a great change up. I go once a week, and it really brightens my day. And it's actually inspired me to go into pediatric dentistry. So just like that once a week connection with children has really like helped me narrow down my pathway that I'm going to take in life. So really word of mouth and just trying out things you could be interested in. And if it doesn't work out, there's no harm that you tried.
Another great thing about PC is that they send out a daily morning mail email. So they'll send out the email will include like events for the day, things that are going on. So that's actually how I found Friar Serve, through the morning mail email. And I was able to follow a link to sign up. And then we also have something called Friar Hub, which is where you can apply for jobs on campus or search for off-campus jobs. So that's how I found community work study. And then also we mentioned Helper Helper already, which is the app which lists all the service opportunities. So if you download that app, it's another great way to look for local service opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you all. And, I think we've done a really good job of touching upon local service opportunities, things that we can do in the area of Providence and in the neighborhood of Smith Hill. Obviously, we haven't touched on all of them because there are so many. But, Pam, early on in this conversation, you mentioned the Smith Fellowship. In addition to the Smith Fellowship that allows you to go on, paid service trips in the summertime, what are some other opportunities that students at Providence have for, service in nationwide in the U.S. as well as international service?
Yeah, we have service immersion trips. So both out of Feinstein and campus ministry, we have a couple of different service immersion opportunities. Feinstein offers a Tijuana, Mexico trip, usually over, I think they're there right now or just getting back around Easter. And it's around clean water and access to clean water. I think, don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure. And then campus ministry offers trips over January break, spring break, and at the end of the year. So at the end of May before June. And those trips have included, usually January is to New Orleans. They've been, Providence College, we've been going since Katrina to do building and relief work, and then continued now. And we talk about racial disparity, poverty, and injustice in that area, as well as continued building efforts after flooding and hurricane relief. We have programs that have gone to Costa Rica, to Guatemala. We have programs that have gone to Peru. And so it changes up depending. So students last year wanted to go to Peru, and there was excitement around an organization. It's actually a student org through Alyssa's office that was excited about this. And so it was a joint effort between campus ministry and student affairs to get the trip up and going. Whereas our New Orleans and Guatemala trips happen every single year. And those are trips that you can, there'll be, as Emma shared, there'll be an email out, you'll hear about it, you sign up, you interview, and you're able to go. I have to say, Providence College has incredible alumni and great donors who have made it accessible for like all students. So it's usually a couple $100s to be able to go on these trips. And even if that's a barrier, we have ways to make sure that all people who want to go can attend.
Excellent.
Can
Thank
I
you.
ask a question to Charlotte? Charlotte,
Absolutely.
Yes, of
you said
course.
a little bit like you love going every week and getting a week off. Can you share a little bit of like why you chose to continue to have weekly service as part of a busy college schedule?
Yeah. So for me, I'm a STEM major and I have a minor, and on top of all the other clubs that I do have a really busy week. I go straight from class that starts at 12:30, ends at 2:20. I go to volunteer from 2:30 to 4 o'clock, and then I go work in the tutoring center from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So my Wednesday schedule is really jam-packed in the afternoon. But for me, I don't find going to art club to be a task, a job at all, really. I think it's a really nice break from just like college life. It's something fun. I get to make crafts with the kids. It's really enjoyable for me. Like I love spending my time with children, and it's something that reminds me of home a lot. At home, I work at a Boys and Girls Club, so I'm working with children all day long. And so it kind of makes me feel like I'm still at home ever so slightly, which is really nice. Um, and yeah, I feel like if you find the right service task for you, it doesn't feel like a task at all. It just feels like a fun hobby that you're actually really excited to go and do. The group of girls and I were always so excited. We're like, what's the art project today? Oh, we're making squids or we're making snails, whatever it is. And the kids love it so much, and it's just like such a good time. Um, yeah, so you just got to find the right one for you, and it really makes it so much easier and more enjoyable.
I found that with like students sharing with me, like having service as part of your weekly it actually feels like you're getting time back, even though it's a time requirement, because it's like feeding you, it's getting you out of the PC, what we say PC bubble, right? Like you're not talking about academics or reading for Civ, you're able to just do something for someone else, which we know gives life back to yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. And Pam, I wanted to just quickly ask if we could go back to the Smith Fellowship and perhaps give a couple more examples of some that you've seen, some that have impressed you that are kind of stand out to you. Because it is such a unique opportunity, I think, for students to take advantage of the opportunity to kind of put together their own service project, and so that will take them anywhere around the world. Is something that I think sets Providence apart, and students at not every institution get the opportunity to do something like this. So, while we're here, I just want to make sure that we really kind of hone in on the Smith Fellowship and what it's all about.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if it was Charlie or Emma who shared, but like it's service at PC in general is something that you can kind of opt in or opt out of. So you might do a one-off event here, or you might be like Charlie and do more regular, or it might be work study. And it has wherever you want to build in, you can build into service. So it's a one-off event or it's something deeper. Smith Fellowship is a real, you take ownership of it. So it's not a set program. So service immersion is all set for you, right? So you just apply and you show up for the flight and you go. Where you're doing service, what service you're doing, who you're doing it with, that's all picked out for you. Whereas Smith Fellows is a design your own. And so it gives you that professional experience of research, of proposal. So students in the fall semester will start researching, where do you want to go in the world? We've had people go to South Africa, to Argentina, to Costa Rica, to the Solomons, Australia, the Holy Land, Geneva. I know I'm missing other countries. There's too many to list. And the student themselves looks at where do they want to go. And so we'll walk with you. So I have a lot of conversations. Do you want city or rural? Do you want a country? Are you learning Spanish and you want to be in a Spanish speaking country? Are you learning are you an education major and you want to go into working with children? Are you really just open to anything and want an experience? We have some who are political science majors, and so they've ended up in Geneva with the Dominicans for Peace and Justice and working at the UN, at the human rights at the UN. And so that's been incredible. So there's the ability for students' passion, the world's needs to come together. And then to fit in also the Dominicans. And the Dominicans worldwide are doing incredible things for service and justice and care for the most marginalized. And so this gives you an opportunity to connect with that. So students will live at homestays, they'll live in Dominican convents or priories, and they'll have a mentor on the ground that they work with that helps them design what type of service that they're going to do. So we've had people work in clinics, we've had people work with in education, work with women and women's health, especially domestic violence. We've had students working in poverty and hunger. We've had students working in advocacy at the UN. It covers so much, it's hard to even explain, but it is like one of the most incredible programs that really gives students, you all, the ownership to make it what you want. I could keep going, so I'll cut myself.
That's
I
no,
think it's such a cool
that's
program. I
really
wish I had it.
That's really good. There's one quick follow-up that one of the students in the webinar had, and it was how competitive is it to get the fellowship? And I think that's certainly a great question. Obviously, there's probably a lot of students who are interested in the Smith Fellowship. So how competitive is that process?
It can be competitive. It takes ownership. So if you are excited about it and you want to make it work and are willing to put in the hours, we will work with you to make it happen. If it's something where you're like, oh, cool, a free vacation somewhere, then it might not be the right fit. But if it's a good fit, we're going to work with you to make it work out. And so the ideal age is after sophomore year or after junior year. And so if it's something that excites you coming in, come find myself, or Father Clement is going to be the chaplain for Service and Justice, the director of Service and Justice next year. So you can find Father Clement. And we can help walk you through starting freshman year on what are places you can go. How do you start getting your resume together? How do you start thinking through the questions? How do you start making contacts globally?
That's perfect. And maybe one last thing. Alyssa, I want to give you the opportunity to kind of pitch Urban Action again, and Faith, perhaps FaithWorks, and or Pam, perhaps FaithWorks, and any of you to pitch maybe service opportunities that students who are admitted and perhaps jumping into their freshman year in Friartown can take advantage of kind of right away. How would a student who's admitted and ideally enrolls by May 1st, how would that student take advantage of the pre-orientation service opportunities that we have?
Yeah, so you can apply for FaithWorks or Urban Action through our website. So if you literally just type in Providence College Urban Action or Providence College FaithWorks, it'll actually direct you to our website. So you don't have to know everything about it. You just need to know the name of it. Type it in and then you can apply. There's an application process. So you'll get to see all the pre-orientations listed in all of the same places. There are little blurbs about each pre-orientation. So again, Urban Action is more focused on like large scale service. So trash cleanups, large school classroom put together. We work with 3 separate schools. We normally have around 100 students with us for those. So it's a lot of like stream cleanups, and we're across an entire area of Providence, or a trash pickup, we're through an entire neighborhood, or when we're doing schools, we've got 3 different schools. So it's a lot of large group activity. And then when it comes to FaithWorks, they do smaller daily service, and the Urban Action's also daily service. So you're normally doing service throughout most of the morning and maybe into the early afternoon, and then you have time with small groups to get to know people after. And that's for FaithWorks and for Urban Action. But FaithWorks is a little bit smaller, so I'll have Pam talk about that in a second, but you can apply for all of them in the same place. But Pam, I'll toss that to you before I talk about some other easier ways to get involved.
Yeah, so I cannot push enough to do Urban Action or FaithWorks. Come do a pre-orientation. Not only do you get to move in early, you get to meet friends in a smaller scale, you get to know campus, and you get to know the community. So if you are at all interested in service, sign up for one of the pre-orientation service programs. FaithWorks we cap it around 50, 55 students because we break into smaller groups and do what we call ministry of presence. So that could be we go to something called My Brother's Keeper, in which we're housing people who are recently homed. So maybe they need bedding, or they just got into their first apartment, or maybe they're children who just got housed with a family and they don't have furniture. We'll furnish the house with them. We'll work at Mary's house or St. Edward's house doing food, working with food insecurity and food lines. We will work with a few different, one is a home for women and children. One is a thrift store that gives clothing to those in need. We work a whole bunch of different smaller organizations that you're working in a group of 5 to 10 students, whereas Urban Action, again, is that like 100 students. So it's just which type of service that you enjoy. As Charlotte and Emma said before, there's enough options of what do you enjoy and what excites you, what type of environment are you going in, what your wants and needs and passions are. There's a place to match that somewhere at Providence College.
I feel the need to give one personal pitch on behalf of the pre-orientation programs. When I was a student at Providence a while back now, I did the FaithWorks program, and had the opportunity to do, a great amount of community service and really get to know the campus and get to know the surrounding community in Providence. And so for that reason, I certainly advocate for it. But in addition to that, in my small group, were two people, Pat and Emma. They became my best friends. Those two, fast forward, I'm not going to take you through the whole thing, but fast forward, those two are now married. I was the best man for my best friend, Pat, at his wedding, and I am about to be godfather to his daughter in a couple weeks here. And so in our small group at FaithWorks before our freshman year even started, made lifelong best friends and connections. And so that is true for many students who participate in the FaithWorks and the Urban Action and the pre-orientation programs, that the community that's built up amongst those who share that common interest and common passion for service, those bonds kind of last throughout college and beyond. Just quickly, when is the deadline to apply for FaithWorks and Urban Action?
Yeah, so the priority registration deadline is on June 25th, and then the final registration deadline is on July 11th. And I know the question also said, does turning in earlier increase chances of getting in? I'm going to say yes, just because if we have to do a cutoff of any students, it's important to make sure your application's in, because especially like, let's say you missed the deadline, you're like, oh, but I really wanted to do it. Like, it's going to be so hard to turn down somebody that turned it in on time or turned it in early. So I would say if you're even close to interested, just apply. There's always an opportunity. It's a really great way to meet people. I actually came to work here because of the Urban Action Program and the service that I had done as a college student. So getting to work with those students every pre-orientation makes it worth it.
Awesome. Well, at this point, any final thoughts from anybody? Charlotte, Emma, especially?
Sorry, I just had a question.
Just recommend, do you want to go first?
Go ahead, Emma.
Oh, I was just going to say, I recommend, getting involved however you can. There's so many great opportunities, like work study, especially, that you can work off campus, still be involved in the community. And yeah, Friar Serve is one of my favorite programs, so can't recommend it enough.
And yes, you can apply for more than one program. There's actually, because they're all in one application now, you can rank them. So if you're interested and you're like, I would like to do either FaithWorks or Urban Action, I don't care which one, you rank them both, you're bound to get into one of them. We want you to join us for service. We want you to become a part of our community and to build connections. And both of those opportunities also are a really easy way to get introduced to other service opportunities on campus, because you meet a lot of students who are also interested in service. So I think it's a really great way to get involved, and you can definitely apply for more than one at a time.
And no matter what you do, so do a pre-orientation, whichever one you're interested in, do a pre-orientation, but that doesn't exclude you from getting involved in any of the organizations that come out of Urban Action or FaithWorks once the school year starts. So just get involved, join one of them, and then there'll be plenty of ways to continue and snowball that into more options once the school year starts.
Awesome. Well, I want to be mindful of everybody's time and want to thank Pam and thank Alyssa and Charlotte and Emma for joining us, for talking with us about the service opportunities at Providence. Hopefully, the major takeaways for you all who have joined us here tonight or who are watching later to this recording, hopefully the major takeaways is that students at Providence College come to Providence with a desire to serve. And Providence College gives their students the power to do that, and gives them the opportunity to do that in whatever way works best for them, whatever type of service, whatever certain population or certain community or certain opportunity is the best fit. We empower our students to serve, and so we hope that came across here. And we look forward to welcoming you to Friartown. We look forward to welcoming you to this community. And if any of us in the Office of Admission or any of us at Providence College can be of assistance to you, whether it be someone in our office that we can connect you with Pam, connect you with Mission and Ministry, connect you with student engagement and leadership, connect you with current student ambassadors such as Emma and Charlotte, whoever we can connect you with to make this decision a little bit easier for you, and bring you home to Friartown, we're happy to do so. So with that, I want to say thank you again for everyone who joined us, and God bless. Go Friars. Good night.